get everything, I can smoothly transition into actually playing. So, without further problem, I'll do that. So, here we are again, returning to the world of ice and fire. When we last gathered in this way, we found ourselves on the road once again. This time, however, we were going west, to the Roses of Highgarden. A knight of the King's Guard, Sir Corbury, brought us with him along the way. The road was clear of events until a tavern was reached. Here the party encountered a populace who offered them much support and gave them praise for their attack on the Dornish. They also encountered a knight going by the name of Fireball. He told the party his story, and when he heard of their trial and Gorman Peake's involvement in it, he offered them a token, the Mark of Bittersteel, one of the great bastards. The mark can be worn, and if the Fireball's suggestion was true, then it would make Gorman swallow his tongue, something the knight would very much appreciate. The party continued on, mark in hand. They arrived at Highgarden, where they met Lord Tarley, uncle to Lennis. He spoke, pledging his house and loyalty to the House of Caladan in undying support. Now, a week remained for planning or partying. The week has passed. It is the morning of the day of the first part of your trial. Hangovers are just beginning to release their grip. Tension can be said to be quite high. What happened during your time partying, three of your characters went on a rather bit of a rampage through the castles of Highgarden. Right now, you're not really sure to remember much, but maybe things will come back over time.
I would, at least Desmond would try. The day before the trial is about to start, he would call the group together, basically, for a quick briefing on the sort of general strategy he will seek to deploy during the trial, basically, so people have a hum of what's gonna happen, and so they themselves don't get surprised, like the attempts and turns and stuff he's gonna try to do. Because at least we on the same team shouldn't be surprised. We shouldn't surprise ourselves. We should surprise the enemies.
You can do that.
Hopefully the group will respond.
Anas will, of course, come to the meeting. He'd already, had some planning with you, though not that much, with other things being involved.
If Lorik's sober enough, he'll show up.
Did you find the kid?
The what?
It is likely that the three of you who have been out partying.
There we go.
Will.
Fire alarm.
Eventful.
Yeah.
It's likely that the three of you who have been out partying will today then have quite a headache, as Sir Ashra was nice enough to give you this day to deliver you back to your room, and hopefully let you sleep for a day before you have to go to trial. You're probably at this moment very filthy and smelly and just exhausted. The boy still has not been found, but Ashra's on it. It is suggested that someone saw him walking into the hedge maze and that he just didn't come out.
All right.
Well, in that case, drawing the group together, it will be in Desmond's quarter. He will have it will be like a desk or something he has worked with, and there will be some papers and notes and stuff around, as Kvalar is sitting on a perch close by, eyeing everyone with suspicion, as he always does. And when people have started to drop in and take their place around the table, He will load the papers and look at all of them, basically taking stock on how drugged up they actually are, or drunked up in different ways. Hopefully no one falling off their chairs, and when they have passed that initial test, he will clear his throat and say, my friends, we stand now before the most important event in recent memory for our house. If we lose this trial, he shakes his head, the repercussions will be dire, to say the least. As such, I have put some thoughts into exactly what we should focus on this trial. I will be doing most of the talking, I imagine, with some backup from you. He sort of motions to the rest of the group. Perhaps even you, Linus, having to stand in for me one of the days if the trial proves to be more strenuous than we anticipate. He sighs slightly. There are a few basic strategies that I will seek to utilize during this trial to render a favorable verdict. As you recall, this is not as much a trial about justice or evidence as it is a trial about showmanship and the ability to argue for one's sake. He grunts, looking down at the papers. That said, I do believe there are certain arguments we can make and that I plan to make to further our claim in this regard. First of all, I will argue that the course we had was just. We had good reasons to do what we did. We demand justice from House Will, and we were on a righteous mission to exact such justice. On that mission, they attacked us, because they are indeed vile serpents. We were well within our bounds to do this. We have authority to punish criminals, and in this regard, House Will are criminals, and they even have raided into our lands from time to time, or attacked our house outright. Sort of nods slightly to Bree. We had the right intention. We were there to demand the justice to set things right, but again, we were attacked. Long before we could send any emissaries or do anything, they attacked us. On the bridge, we met not an ambassador, but arrows that eliminated all forms of negotiation. This is not the proper way of things, and House Will acted in a way that is simply not. He shrugs slightly. Simply not very lawful or very chivalrous in this regard. This was also a last resort attempt for us. We had sought reparations before, and this was the only way we saw that we could get any measure of payback from House Will, more or less. We gauged that we had a reasonable hope of success. We thought that our military forces would instill the sense of gravity of the situation on House Will, and that they would be in the mood to parley rather than to go to war with us. And we miscalculated. They had grown so powerful under their trepidations that they had a sizable army that they threw at us. Our response was all in all proportional to the threat, and the aim was, in the long run, peace. He sort of shuffles the papers around a little bit. These are the basic points I will try to pursue during the trial. With the help of your and others' testimony, hopefully we can reach that far. As that, we have Bree's testimony will be indeed important to move the lords and sway them to our cause. Looks at Bree with a solemn grimness over him. But I am sure you can paint an effective picture of what happened to you and that long time ago, as well as more recently. We have the map with the ambush and watering sites that we found in Ironwood territory. We have a banner from the House Will Raiders on that snake hunt, as you recall. We have the letter and the ransom notes from the raiders that attacked us at the bridge house. We also have the backing of Lord Tarley. He has pledged himself to us. I will try to not use him when we are specifically speaking to Lord Peake and Lord Jourdain. His disdain for Peake and Peake's disdain for him are legendary. They would, they hate each other, more or less. And having them shout at each other over in the courtroom will be problematic for us. Hopefully that can be avoided, although I don't count too much on it. House Jourdain is, of course, the Dornish house, and Lord Tarley's disgust for the Dornish have, if anything, only grown in recent years. I will need to try to talk with him and try to inform him of our new Dornish contacts. Perhaps that will lessen his vitriol a little bit and make him more serviceable when facing Judge Jourdain. We also know a little bit. Yes.
What about the Baratheon? Isn't that why you made that painting?
Lord Baratheon, yes, that's next on the list here. Lord Baratheon is a bull of a man. He is hot-headed, to say the least. He has been described to me as a charging knight. There is no point in trying to deflect him or parry him. It is more a tactic of pointing him at the enemy and then just step out of the way. I will thus try to incite him to go after our enemies in this case and not us. Of note, though, is that Lord Baratheon adores dogs. He simply loves them and dotes on the critters any chance he gets. The particular story of the crazed hounds attacking us on the trail back and forth down to House Ironwood could be a very important detail to sway Lord Baratheon to our cause, telling him how House Will treats their dogs. Minor detail for the other judges, but for him it might strike home very much. So that might be worth noting when we recall that particular part of it. And I am sure myself, Lenis, and even Bree can give very colorful descriptions of these creatures, especially Bree, who was very close to them. There was emotions to like the demonic painting he has in the back. That will be also presented as a piece of evidence at the as an artist rendition of the hounds and the attack, basically. He looks down his nose. These are the basic strategies. I won't bore you by repeating all the arguments I will try to make, but this is my basic approach. If any one of you has any particular input or insight into this, now is the time to vent them.
Can anyone just be called to witness?
Yes, as long as they are relevant to the case, they can be called to witness. Be prepared to stand witness, all of you.
Well, if they're gonna ask Nima what Nima is to this, it's always dancing instructor to Bree, just so you know.
You will more be there to swear to the honor and the justness of House Caladan more than anything else.
Yeah, just never assessed.
As an outsider from Bravos, even though that you're a stranger in this land, an outsider's perspective endorsing the house might very well hold some sway in this regard. It is expected that the House representatives and the House family, especially, talk very warmly about their house, but outside people who speak for the House also holds a very heavy sway in these regards, which is also why we have called some of our own witnesses, House Dondarrion, for example, and Lord Ironwood is here as well. Very well, I shall take your silence then that you are in at least a rough agreement on this approach.
Imagine people just sitting there rubbing their heads or being Bree.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Alaric's just rubbing his temples. just slowly. Just nods every now and again, just like. All right.
I was clearly paying attention, though he did give quite a grimace as you mentioned the dogs, because he could remember Bree slamming one's head against the
Halldamir,
rock.
as you sit here rubbing your temple, basically, could you roll me a d10?
Mm-hmm.
See
Maybe not.
Maybe you remember something of what you actually were doing.
My chat window just closed. How unfortunate. There we go. Probably not.
Depends on if it's high, it's good, or low, it's good. Who knows?
Well,
I blame Andrew in chat. He jinxed me.
you have been sort of sitting here thinking. It's a little strange because you going to this meeting. You sort of saw someone who was glaring at you, or if looks could kill, basically, and you're pretty sure that you saw him, like sometime during the week.
Fuck.
You're not exactly sure in what context at all. You're pretty sure that he wants to do terrible things to you. Luckily, though, he just is like he works in the stables or something.
Oh, all right. Okay.
What
Oh.
harm could some courtier do? But now you remember at least that. Oh yeah, I mean, there was something about, I don't know,
Pissed off
maybe
some stable
Astra
dude.
did something to him. Mhm.
Need to stop drinking.
Continue. Having this slight revelation.
Too bad you didn't remember anything about where that kid is.
Yeah, I know. Well, he disappeared into
Squire.
the maze, so
Oh, he's dead.
What
Asher's
kid are
on
we
that
talking
one.
about?
He's
Musquire.
Squire. You know, the heir.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
he's in the
house?
maze.
you
Asher's on it.
lost.
Don't
You
worry.
lost the heir to the marshes.
Don't worry about it. Asher's on it.
Have
Don't
you
worry.
have you said? I assume you don't tell Desmond this because he might.
No. Alaric speaking
I
in,
don't know.
in slow, quiet grunts. at this
Astra
point.
did say that probably keep that. Nothing bad has happened yet.
Yeah, no, Alaric's not speaking in words, just short, quiet grunts, basically.
Well, as I said, that is the basic approach. That is the basic strategy. Any further questions?
Just sitting and rubbing the heads.
Then, my friends, we go to war for a second time. Hopefully, this will be more successful than the first. He gets up, stands up to signal that the meeting is over. Gathers his notes.
This is gonna be awesome. We three have a hangover and we're gonna be in court.
It's gonna be fine.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow's in
Ain't
court.
got
We got
Not
a
tomorrow.
whole day to get over this hangover. We'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Bree might be unburdened, but
Yeah, Alaric does not move. He just stays there.
Just stays there the rest of the day.
He stays there until he feels like he can move without falling over and gets a bath. It's like his
We
second
just
thing to
sleep
do.
on Decim's table.
You
Yeah.
will
Can't
most
help
certainly
but
not.
Maybe worry a little bit about
Is Decim gonna
who
move
actually
Alaric?
cooks his food.
Desmond is going to call servants to move Alaric if need be.
7 servants come into the room.
Move this thing.
Plow horse.
Oh, remember that joke? 7 servants enter the room, huh?
Regardless, the meeting is sort of adjourned, and if I assume you just want to try to get over your hangovers.
It's
Desmond would also like to have a quick talk with Lord Tarley, basically just informing him of two things. One, that the house has taken the heir to the marshes as the squire for Sir Alaric. So maybe next time he's in the same room as him, he
choice.
doesn't speak badly about Lord Karen like he almost did. Sort of steered away from it next time. And also,
you can teach him to be less of a wimp.
Alaric is apparently on that. It is out of my jurisdiction. But as far as I understand, that is the express purpose of this.
That's good.
The second one is that, as I told you in the first meeting, we House Caladan has been in need of allies a lot, and we have been surrounded by allies of another master than the one we have sworn ourselves to.
Worry not, I stand with you.
That is good.
Whatever it may come.
And that might indeed be sorely tested, my friend, because one of the allies we have sought and gained is House Ironwood. Looks at him. They were instrumental in the attempt at taking on House Will.
His sort of resolute face turns into more of a slight scowl.
Mm-hmm.
As he stands up and says, I see. Then he begins walking out. Looks back at you and says, hopefully nothing permanent, though.
As permanent as is required, I'm afraid. We are playing a dangerous game, Lord Charlie, and we are making a gambit out of this. Hopefully it will pay off, and the ramifications of these arrangements will be kept to a minimum.
Good. Just looks at you and says, don't give them anything.
So far we have not. We expect to get a lot of back for this. Not only vengeance, but...
She said and say, and look elsewhere in the future.
Yes, elsewhere. There's some broods over the map, looking at all the horrible houses surrounding them.
As Selwyn walks out of the room, clearly maybe a little rattled and maybe even disappointed.
Sure. He'll get over it or not. I'm not here to please him. I'm here to further the house. And I'm sure he understands it. Better that he hears it now than during the trial. Does Wasayan go and prepare himself for the occasion?
Dark, could you roll me a d10? As you sort of come back to sleep in your room tonight, you find something very sort of hard and spiky in your bed. And as you look at it, it seems to be a very beautiful piece of jewelry. It's clearly made for a woman, and you're not really sure how it got there. But it's there.
That is going to be exceptionally confused.
It's like a fine little headdress thing. Looks pretty valuable. But...
And Lannis is going to be very confused by this, but currently is wanting to rest, so we'll just put it in a drop.
Sure. Sure. Other than that, the night goes without too much of an issue. You're all very, very tired, and well, yeah, sleep without too much of a problem. So now we are at the morning of where the trial's actually going to happen, and Nima, could you roll d10? All right. Well, as it turns out, Nima sort of wakes up and she's probably feeling pretty fresh because she remembers almost an entire conversation she had last night, or not last night, but during the week, and she learned an amazing piece of gossip. Not really something that matters, but just enough truth to these scandalous rumors in court that if she was to begin telling people, of the court, of course, they probably wouldn't really be able to pull themselves from the gossip and probably be kind of unruly about the whole thing. Seems like she has been in a gossip circle at some point.
What is the gossip?
It is something that to the overall, to normal people who don't live in the court, is highly uninteresting. But you could say it's something about the choice, intimate preferences of certain young men and women around the place, and how scandalous events has taken place recently.
Ooh.
Are we talking opposite genders or animals?
Who knows?
Oh.
Ema does, apparently, but it is something that...
Yeah, I know, apparently.
That is a... Yeah.
Do I know? Is it an important house?
No, it is not particular. It's mostly among flowers and the minor nobles and knights and stuff like that. But generally, yeah. And I think as you have gotten that, it's time to reveal how this trial is going to work again, because I think I told you something about it last time, but who remembers any of that?